Hello everyone, welcome to game 2 in a series between mOOnGlade and mOOs here on GSL Dual Site or Dual Site. And we can see mOOnGlade spawning here as the purple Zerg once again at the 8 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Mana spawning at the 2 o'clock position as the green Protoss versus Zerg once more. MLG Dual Site, a map that only has 2 spawning locations, so we'll see how this works out. The natural expansion is fairly close if you guys have not seen a map or a game on this map. The third expansion is a little bit further away and much more difficult to defend. You can see that there's a very wide opening here and a very wide opening here. I believe all of this cliff is untraversable, so you cannot get ledged over there at all. There is also a rather wide open ramp here, and then also a brush opening here. So this is all very interesting, and I'm curious as to how this particular game will work out. mOOs not doing any sort of forge fast expansion, now setting up a pylon here. It looks like he will be walling off and doing a very safe build. Most likely, I would say it would be a Gateway Cybernetics core opening, with a Zealot being trained up on the front, trying to training up some sentries as well, as Mana may get into an early 2-gas and then try to fend off any early attacks that Glade may have in store. Meanwhile, Glade opening up with an extractor pool here on Dual Site, so sticking to the same build that he did on Metalopolis. As we now see a drone make its way, or a probe now make its way up the ramp or into the base and up the ramp. The probe's going to spot, hey, there's no hatchery, come up the ramp, see that there is a spawning pool and an extractor already, knows the build, knows that he's going to have to do with metabolic boosted lings, and knows that he will have to sit inside his base for a little bit of time and try to figure out and just try to defend any early aggression. Glade will have map control, but will he be able to turn map control into a win this time? We can see that there is a probe down over here, just gonna sit at the natural expansion, perhaps try to block, but it's going to be a little bit more time, as a queen now going to be trained. We're going to get 4 Zerglings as well. Those Zerglings, as soon as they're done, a drone will also make its way over, build the hatchery, as that probe may or may not get destroyed, depending on whether or not Mana decides to leave that one particular probe down over here for very long. Zerglings are now completed. You're going to see the 4 Zerglings come in. There's the drone right behind it. It's almost like I've already seen this game. I swear I haven't. As the probe now backing off, and now that hatchery is being built. So a very typical Zerg versus Protoss matchup. Both players knowing the exact strategy. Those Zerglings chasing down that one particular probe. The probe, however, should be able to escape and return all the way home. You can see a little bit of damage is being absorbed, but nothing that those shields cannot be able to regenerate and help out on. Mineral path straight through. Will the probes be able to make it up? One Zergling just sitting up there, sees the front door, sees a Stalker. A Zergling's like, I can get some damage onto a Cybernetics Core's shields. But as soon as a Stalker makes its way out, it may be a bit much, as that Zergling is just going to get destroyed there. And more damage still to be had, but it doesn't look like the Stalker will be able to finish off those Zerglings as the metabolic boost now completes. Oh, we are now going into a Stargate. Okay, so Mana deciding to change things up a little bit. He went for a gateway, then a Stargate, and now adding another gateway as well. So hopefully, or I think what Mana's trying to do is Mana's trying to use, I believe, Phoenixes or Void Rays to take control. In the last game, Glade almost pushed through Mana's defense, and if he was able to push through, that game could have just gone very much in favor of Glade. We can see now, however, an Overlord will spot this Stargate, so a nice positioning here, that Overlord catching it, and it does see that a Void Ray is being built, or if the Void Ray is close enough or observant enough, you can see that that it is being built, but I believe the Overlord will get shot down. If you could never tell, you can actually kind of see what unit is being trained out of a Stargate, so you know what you have to deal with. It is going to be a Void Ray there, and now once again going to be chrono boosted. This Overlord now desperately needs to hide, otherwise another Overlord will get destroyed. So there is one Void Ray. Is the second Void Ray going to be added? It looks like not, because there is not enough pylons just quite yet. Now upgrading to Warp Gate as well, so a 2-gate with a Stargate here on MLG Dual Site. And Mana really needs to get up perhaps a Phoenix or do something else. The Void Ray looking for Overlords doesn't spot this one, as this one did move far enough away. And now perhaps he's going to try to put some aggression into the front, but he's not going to really be able to deal that much. You can see a Queen over here, Spore Crawler upgrading the tier 2, the Void Ray of Mana. This very, very early investment, not going to be doing very much at all. The gateways are now in position. The Zerglings perhaps going to try to focus their way in, but unable to do so. The Zerglings now going to perhaps get a surround onto this Nexus as well, and it looks like that Nexus is going to start taking some damage, but that's nothing a couple sentries cannot deal with very, very easily. The Nexus may get canceled and restarted though, as, getting some more force fields down and limiting the surface area. So a very nice play by Mana in order to make sure that this one Nexus will be completed. He didn't want to cancel it. He did not want to... Yeah, he didn't want to cancel it. He didn't want to lose that valuable time, as you are now going to see a Void Ray make its way out, quickly destroying a Zergling, and now controlling both of these Naga watchtowers. Glade will lose a little bit of map presence or map sight, but Glade also establishing that third base that I was mentioning on Metalopolis. A third base is always very important as a Zerg. It looks like Glade isn't going to try to do that rush that we saw, but we are also getting the pneumatized carapaces. Are we getting ventral sacks? No ventral sacks. And we are going into the Roach War now. So this is a little bit later. Zergling's now deciding to back off. The shield still recharging on that Nexus. It eventually will have 1,500 hit points in total. And now Mana very, very comfortable sitting on these bases. Another Void Ray now being added. And we'll see what will be used. We can see the Void Ray now trying to get a little bit more damage. So far has gotten 1 kill and 1 kill only. And as that Void Ray, as the second Void Ray now being added here, perhaps they'll be able to deal more damage to the Roach Warren. Glio Reconstitution now being researched as well. Level 1 missile upgrades coming in as the Void Ray taking a lot of damage. The Queen, if it tries to make its way over, may end up just getting destroyed. And now, deciding to back off here. The 2 Void Rays are going to be needed as the Void Rays, Sentries, and Zealots, this Void Ray in the air, finishing off many of those units. 2 Void Rays should be able to easily pick off any low hit point buildings or even a Queen. And all of these buildings in the back are going to be very, very vulnerable here as the Void Rays once again try to re-establish and deny any sort of map control or map presence that Glade is attempting to establish with these Zerglings. You can see Spore Crawlers are now being built at the third base, but it will not get there in time or not be finished in time. The Spore Crawler will end up just getting destroyed. It looks like it's going to get canceled, but a Queen now going to make its way over, and a Queen going toe-to-toe, and now going to try to come back in, and in comes another Void Ray. So 2 Void Rays, 2 Queens, a Transfusion maybe coming in, 3 Queens now coming in. This is not looking good. Mana needs to back off. The Void Ray is actually taking some critical damage, both now in the yellow, attempting to retreat. There is an Observer now in the center of the field. These Creep Tumors days are pretty much going to be numbered as well. Denying Creep Tumors always a favorite pastime of Observers and Void Rays. There you can see all of those Creep Tumors getting shut down. More Creep Tumors over here. Just constantly getting these kills. Do they actually count as kills? Yes, they do. So Creep Tumor kills are important, as that one Void Creep Tumor does get destroyed. Once again, in comes a Queen going toe-to-toe against another Void Ray. Another Creep Tumor will get destroyed once more, as that Observer, is going to get spotted by an Overseer. So Glade investing into the Overseer, and Creep Tumors once again trying to be re-established to make sure that the creep doesn't recede too far. Roaches now being added, pathogen glands, groove spines. So this is going to turn to a Roach Hydra play with also Infestors. So a crazy combination here. Roach Hydra with Infestors. These Void Rays still need to put down a little bit more pressure. Not quite sure what pressure that they can truly deal. And now Roach is trying to get shut down. It looks like one Roach will get destroyed. However, the Void Rays cannot keep up with a Glio Reconstitution Roach, as the Void Rays only move at the same speed as Marines and Marauders, or an unupgraded Roach there. So Stalkers and Immortals finishing that battle off, as a Zealot now coming around the far side perhaps to see if there is an expansion here. Mana, oh, with the Zealot down over here, now going to start trying to attack the hatchery. The hatchery, however, will not get destroyed, I do not believe, but it will end up being very, very low on hit points. So you can see that the hit points are carefully staying around 160, no level 1 weapons upgrade. We are getting the Neural Parasite, and now poor roaches are going to be able to finish off this Zealot. Zealot's not going to be able to do very much at all, as the Void Rays still moving out in midfield. One Colossus, Immortal Stalkers, a very nice combination of units, and Mana's style really reminding me of White Raw at this stage, using essentially just a very expensive group of units. Oh, in come the Hydralisk. Hydralisk may be able to shut down one of those Void Rays. Void Rays are moving and attacking away, so that was a rather interesting little bit there. So moving and attacking in a different direction, and while running away, so that was a nice maneuver. Normally Void Rays, it takes a little bit of micro to actually do that. One Void Ray, now down to 6 hit points, desperately needs a little bit more shields in order to join back in on that fight. You can see Mana also getting in a second Colossi or 2 Colossi as well. Extended thermal lance range already completed. Blink now being researched, and 6 more gateways coming in from Mana. Mana running in off of 10 gateways. Army composition, a very large one by Glade, who's sitting almost at 200, or sitting pretty much near 200 food already, getting more overlords even though he has plenty to work with. And now in come the Void Rays, in come the other units. Where are those fungal growth? There is an Immortal, now getting Neural Parasited. More fungal growths coming in. Are the Infestors going to be able to do any damage? Glade being forced to back off. So many force fields down here, as unit after unit just getting destroyed, and Glade in a very bad position, choosing the wrong engagement. And yeah, Mana just was simply waiting for that attack and responded accordingly, destroying this. Stalker Blink will be completed in just a moment, and oh, he decides not to blink to catch up. Do we have Burrow? No Burrow researched at all, so the Infestors and Roaches are not going to be able to do all too much. Glade perhaps should get Burrow in order to be able to regenerate any of those units. We do have a gold mineral patch over here, only 5 mineral patches, and then a 1 rich Vespene Geyser. So with 1 rich Vespene Geyser here, perhaps we can see a transition into Broodlords or more Infestor play, it looks like. We have, what, 3 Hydralisks so far, a lot of Roaches. The Infestors are getting up to 75 energy now, but we are also going into the Templar Archives, so those Infestors are going to be feedback bait very soon. In comes a very large unit of Stalkers. Now the Stalkers do have Blink. They will be able to shut down and focus down onto those Roaches rather quickly. More Creep Tumors still need to be laid down in order to make sure that they have faster movement speed. You can see the Creep Tumors are still doing their job, as another hatchery being built over here as well. So it looks like a lot of just hatcheries being placed down, and it's going to be 4 or 5 bases compared to 3 unless Mana actually moves out. And it almost feels like Mana is not taking enough risk at this point. Perhaps he's scared of these 2-0 Roaches waiting for High Templars, as what I believe a Zergling quickly just ran by and got destroyed there. We are going to have Infestors in the center, a couple, 1 Spine Crawler, 1 Spore Crawler. This is just more. Oh, in comes a battle now. Let me go ahead and back that up. Alright, so we're going to have a battle here. The Stalkers now trying to engage. They're not blinking away for some reason, as the Roach is now pushing in. There is a Neural Parasite picking off one of the Immortals. Are we going to get another Neural Parasite onto Colossi is the key question there. That's what we desperately need. That Immortal dealing a lot of damage back, shooting down a lot of units, and now Mana being forced to pull back here. And as long as Glade is able to keep these Infestors alive and run away with them, he should be fine. But the Infestors do move rather slowly now, and Mana, apparently hearing me, knows to focus down those very expensive casters. Stalkers could easily blink. I'm not quite sure why. He could have finished off and did a little bit more damage there, killing off and weakening the army as it is retreating. But we are now back to a full once more. 198 food, 1,600 minerals. This hatchery over here needs to get some extractors going. He needs to get more gas. He is currently more gas limited than minerals limited at this time. Level 3 weapons upgrade now coming online, or now being researched by those Colossi, or for those Colossi. 4 Colossi dealing 42 damage per swipe with that level 3 weapons upgrade completes. 40 damage per swipe against Roaches, as the Roaches have a base 1 armor. But is it going to be enough as the Stalkers, getting in and shutting down... Oh, dang it. Shutting down that over there. The Roaches are now going to once again try to re-engage. Stalkers able to blink in. Another fungal growth. Roaches trying to get in position once more. It looks like some Stalkers are going to be able to blink back. More fungal growth. In comes the Psy Storm now. Are we going to perhaps get some Infested Terrans? Yeah, Infested Terrans now being landed. But that was more out of a desperation move than anything else. The production tab, though, does show 41 Roaches. So even though Mana is doing a great job, and if you take a look at the losses, who has the heavier losses so far? It is definitely Glade, but with now 35 Roaches coming in, that army is going to be instantaneously replenished once more. You can see drones now starting to mine away, getting in a lot of gas. 9 Corruptors now being added, but the Stalker numbers are starting to dwindle. And that is the key portion as we are perhaps going into Broodlords. Zerglings and Roaches now trying to engage. 1 Roach desperately trying to run away once more. You can see a lot of Broodlords could be in the near future. Do we have enough gas? It looks like gas is still being mined off of all of these bases. The gas income must be huge. 1,000 gas per minute. So, and now mass Corruptors finally being added. So the Corruptors, in order to engage and destroy those Colossi, the perhaps most one-dimensional unit from the Zerg army, you only go for Corruptors if your opponent has Colossi. And even then, if you get too many Corruptors, that does become a bit of a problem. Are we getting the Greater Spire, though? I haven't even seen the Greater... no, it's only a Spire, so it's not even a Greater Spire, so Glade may be in a bit of trouble, but in come the Corruptors now. Corruptors shutting down 1 Colossi, another Colossi gonna get taken down. Roach is now engaging on the ground. The Roaches perhaps should be shutting back, pulling back here, gonna perhaps shut down another Colossus. Yes, all the Colossi have been destroyed, but can we get enough Roaches to re-engage? Corruption now being cast onto the Stalkers instead. In comes an Archon as well. Stalkers blinking underneath, getting more damage here. Roaches trying to engage. The Roaches do have a slightly longer range, and with all of those Colossi destroyed and a new army of Roaches, Glade is now back in this game, folks. Yeah, the Roaches are upgraded 2-0. We are now going into tier 3, so perhaps we will be going into a Greater Spire a little bit later. Immortal is now trying to be re-added as well, so this is all going to be a very dangerous game now, as both players have a very limited bases. You can see another expansion being established over here by Glade. So Glade getting very greedy with the expansions, and it's going to be 4 bases compared to 6. And with that, I think Glade has completely shocked Mana into figuring out what he can do. Taking a look at the army, 1 Archon, 3 High Templars, 28 Stalkers. We are now going into that Greater Spire. It does take a long time to build a Greater Spire, 100 seconds. Was that a pylon? How does that pylon stay there for so long? We can now see an army making its way over here. It is going to spot the creep. Even though this hatchery is going to get easily destroyed, it will take quite some time for all of these creep tumors, all of this creep to recede. And with that creep still there, that means that no Nexus can be placed down anytime soon. Another Stalker getting destroyed midfield. More Stalkers coming back in to reinforce. Creep tumors now being added. Greater Spire more than halfway done now, as we are now pushing into the main base here. Roaches engaging Stalkers, Colossi, Infestors, blinking all across the map. There are still these 6 Colossi, and is it going to be enough? And that, every time I hear that, it sounds like a warp gate upgrade. Anyways, coming into the battle, Roach is now engaging. The Corruptors need to back off here. Are we going to get some fungal growth? And a lot, mass Stalkers, both sides trying to engage. The Infestors are essentially out of energy. We can get another fungal growth. Is it going to happen? No, the Infestor runs out of energy, and Glade now completely engaging everything that he worked for, completely now lost, as the sheer number of Stalkers able to come in and just simply destroy. Production does show 18 more Roaches, but that is not going to be enough. He is now finally behind on food, as this one base is running low. It looks like all the drones... the drones there, yeah, the drones there were pulled back, perhaps to start. Oh, no, Zealots now over here as well. Drones now trying to make their way in over here. This base is going to get destroyed. And this is not looking good at all. Roaches perhaps going to try to engage. In comes some Psy Storm. And what is going to be happening? Roaches once again trying to push their way through a Nero Parasite onto the Archon. Archon fighting back infested Terrans. Broodlords are being added. Roaches trying to go after those Stalkers. Stalker's going to quickly blink down, take down that one Infestor. There goes another. And with the sheer number of Stalkers, Mana is going to be able to finish this, and there is the GG. So Mouse Mana taking a game from mOOnGlade here on Dual Sight. A very, very well played. Glade had a small window of opportunity, but I think his problem was that he delayed his Hive Tech and he delayed his Greater Spire. If he had those up long enough, or just slightly longer, it would have been so much better, as those Corruptors would have been Broodlords. Broodlords much more effective at dealing with a ground, infinitely better at dealing with a ground army than a Corruptor, obviously. And that's what ended up happening. Having that many Corruptors, 6 Corruptors, 900 gas, 900 minerals, 600 gas worth of useless units. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Glade and Mana.